Hello, this is David D. Hilster. I am a critical thinker, dissident scientist, and if you are not science woke, then this is the place for you. There are literally thousands and thousands of scientists from around the world who've been working for decades outside the mainstream, who have identified problems, fixed those problems, and who are proposing new theories and models. You're not going to find anything like this on YouTube, so you want to go down below and click on the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you'll be alerted to when our next video drops. Well, I'm going to talk about one of those critical thinkers outside the mainstream today. Got this website right there. You can see, don't worry about reading it. I'll be talking about it. I just want to put that graphic up. This is a website I'm going to be talking about, the Pixel Lattice Theory by a gentleman from China. His name is Dr. James Sung. It's interesting how I came across this website. I didn't come across it myself. It was via a conversation to somebody who has been involved with our group, the CMPS and the MPA, for many years, but he's been watching from a little bit from afar, and we got into a conversation and it led to this website. I want to thank that person. I don't remember their name. I don't even know if I know their full name. It's not important. I'm sure they're watching. I want to thank you, and I apologize about not remembering. I think it was Carl, maybe. I'm not sure, but don't quote me. Anyways, he did come at me and said, "Hey, Dave, you're bashing those people who work at particle accelerators. And I know people from Fermi Lab, and those people are great people." Absolutely, these people are great people. And we got into a slight discussion and a back and forth as to what the problem was, why we in the dissident world, or the critical thinkers, talk and don't have a whole lot of respect all the time for these particle physicists, because they don't listen to any criticisms. They just want to teach you what they know. They say you're off track, and they never look at it. And I think that's a frustrating point, to which we do not worry about really too much what particle physics or the mainstream thinks, because we realize we're not going to convert them. We're not going to, okay, the Big Bang's wrong. Okay, particle physics has been off track since 1930. We need to throw it all away and start over. Well, it's hard to say that 35, 40 years of your life was following not a whole lot of stuff. So anyways, that was our conversation, and it turns out this person, in the middle of this, it was a very interesting and cordial conversation, and I appreciate very much this person's support. He said, "Hey, I'm here." "What are you talking about?" "I'm here. I've been supporting and watching the group." So obviously I said, "Well, what's your connection?" He goes, "Oh," and then he told me about this website, which is I think it's what's it called? pixellattice.org or something like that. Anyways, it's down below. If I got that wrong, please forgive me. I don't have that with me, but I think you'll see it in one of the slides. But regardless, I told him, okay, I'm going to do a video on this because I love to. And this is an amazing opportunity for you guys, my subscribers. This is me going through for the first time what this whole thing is about. I basically took their first page of this website, and I've broken it down. You're going to see it. I'm going to go through it for the first time and give you my impressions. The first thing I want to tell you is the way I go about this, and that is I come at it to try to understand their model from their point of view. I could easily go in and start talking about things that I do not agree with, and maybe a lot of our people in our organization won't agree with, but that's not the point. What you need to do when you come to these websites is to look at the website, read about it, and try to understand from the point of view of the author of this theory what they're trying to do, because that's the most important thing that you should get out of these, whether you agree with a lattice theory or not, and what that even is. And that's another part. This is going to be great because you're going to learn about what a lattice theory is. So let's go into the website. This is a biography for the Pixel Lattice Theory author. And this says, oh, Donald J. Burke. Maybe he's the guy who put together the website. Okay, there it is at the top. You can see pixellattice.org. Take a look at it. And this is the person who is the author of that theory. Dr. James C. Sung holds a PhD from MIT. His deep interest in cosmology led him to startling insights about the nature of existence. In 1993, he published 2 companion books explaining his theories. theories, Pixels of Space-Time and the Evolution of the Universe. The volumes comprise a carefully reasoned, mathematically intact model for a granular Planck scale space-time infused by creative intelligence, together integrating current theories of relativity, quantum mechanics, and conscious evolution. In his professional life, Dr. Sung is a world pioneer in diamond graphene synthesis technology and the use of materials in quantum computers. He has published 10 books and owns about 100 patents. He lives with his family in Taiwan, so he is a Chinese origin. So that's really interesting. So let's go and take a look at this. I already have a notion. I'll give you a notion of mine because I do know about these things. I can see right away that when he's talking about creative intelligence, space-time infused by a creative intelligence, together integrating current theories of relativity, quantum mechanics, and consciousness, that pretty much shows me that he is trying to address the double slit experiment, where people are looking at the quantum effects of, well, is the particle going through this slit or that, and it has to get in if the observation intelligence of the person guides that one way or another. Again, I'm not here to judge that, even if I don't agree with those kinds of explanation. I'm trying to understand. So I can see where he's coming from right away just from his biography. Problems with current theories of existence. Established relativistic cosmologies based on the adequacy of a purely objective reality to describe existence. In the objective model, space-time is viewed as interacting interacting with, but separate from, energy matter. At quantum scales, reality appears to be dualistic, an objective universe entangled with subjective consciousness. The universe is perceived by the observer, and the observer is reflected in the universe. The collapse of quantum waves cannot be explained without invoking the presence of consciousness, as John Wheeler first suggested decades ago. Again, this is the idea that, well, we don't know which way a photon's going to go around a star by the time it gets to our eyes, and this has to do with this quantum mechanical history erasing kind of experiments. Again, I'll give you my opinion at the end about this, but that's what he's talking about. Okay, cosmology and quantum mechanics do not integrate well. Accepted particle physics theory is made to work only by eliminating the space-time continuum, renormalization. Moreover, space-time has the contradictory notion of nothingness and continuum. And that's what we talk about a lot too, is space-time. What is it? Is it something? Is it nothing? Is it just mathematical? If space-time is nothingness, we cannot explain why space and time can be interchanged by different observers, special relativity, or how it can be warped around energy matter, general relativity. That's the idea that gravity bends light. More difficult is the problem of how empty space could generate virtual particles of pairs of particles from nothing, as required by quantum mechanics. Also, sort of the pair production that Neil Adams talks about in his theory. Nor if space-time, let me make this just a little bit bigger, nor if space-time is a continuum, we can explain the phenomenon of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Furthermore, continuum always coexists with infinity. Living in a world allowing infinity invites being dwarfed to nothingness. In other words, there would be no finite measures. Yet we do exist in finite sizes and weights. Consequently, space-time cannot be a continuum, nor can the universe be infinite as predicted by the Big Bang Theory. Okay, the only thing I would comment here is, in trying to understand that the Big Bang Theory says it's infinite, the universe. I didn't think that was true. So I'm not sure about that statement. And I'm not here to criticize. I'm just saying that he's saying what the Big Bang Theory predicts, the infinite universe. I'm not sure that's what it says. I thought space and time sort of expanded with it, and that's the universe. But again, no problem. Let's keep moving forward. These are problems addressed, of course. These problems are being addressed, of course. Recent superstring theory described quantized space-time. Here, energy matter assumes the minimum Planck length, yet resides in the continuum of space. As a result, the model must be formulated on a bizarre 11-dimensional manifold, and a bulk. So he's saying that the current superstring ideas to try to solve the problem of uniting quantum mechanics and relativity, which is sort of like, something lots of people in the mainstream want to do, he's saying formulated in a bizarre. So you can notice he's saying bizarre 11-dimensional manifold. So he's not liking the 11-dimensional manifold. Again, I will make this a little bit bigger because I'm over here in the side now. Other models of granular space-time have been proposed involving, for example, Penrose's spin networks and quantum computing, of which existence is an output. However, these fail to fully provide the integration of Planck scale and macroscopic physics. Also, the quantum computing model requires a kind of self-computing and cannot explain why the observable universe would choose itself as a singular output among many parallel universes. Again, this is into the mainstream idea of parallel universes, of observer, how that affects, and it all comes down to the quantum mechanics double slit experiment, again, which they seem to have spooky action at a distance. It seems like the same particles in two different places at once, and this necessarily makes all this kind of stuff about some of the things that some people call crazy. That is the idea that observers affect the universe even before 10 billion years ago. The light coming to your eyes from 10 billion years ago and which side of the planet comes around is affected by this collective consciousness. So that's what this is talking about. Again, I'm not here to judge. I'm trying to understand what they're saying. Finally, esoteric phenomena such as the participation of observer in manifesting reality, indications of non-locality and quantum entanglement remain largely unsolved and even suspect. Indeed, science is rooted in its obligation to a certain objectivity, where the observer stands apart from the observed and is adverse to any implication of the transcendental. He's saying, well, we seem to, mainstream physics talks about some parts of mainstream physics. This isn't all of it. I'm not sure this is a majority at all, but they do talk about it, about this idea of the observer and this idea of transcendental, this consciousness, this whole thing. By the way, if you do want to know about consciousness, we have George Coyne. Go to our CNPS website and you will see him. I think he has a talk as well. I think it's 2017. But regardless, he does talk about consciousness in the way that computers work, and I really enjoy what he talks about. It's much more feet on the ground there. Here we go. Let me make this bigger again. Towards a new understanding. So what he's saying right now, just to sort of summarize this, and again, I'm reading this for the first time, is that he is saying that there's a problem where there's the quantum mechanics is saying, hey, the observer must be there, and there's some gigantic collective consciousness that makes the decisions of which reality really appears. So that's what he's saying, and he says there's no solution for it. And I'm going to guess that he's going to try to solve that, right or wrong. Okay. I'm not here to say that's right. Please understand that. I applaud him for being a critical thinker, and that is great. Dr. Sun's Pixel Lattice Theory dissolves many of the conflicts and complications in current accepted physics. First, regarding the nature of object reality. Pixel Lattice Theory begins with a quantized space-time. However, where other theories continue to separate space-time and matter-energy, Pixel Lattice Theory integrates the two. In this model, space-time may be thought of as supercrystal made of Planck-sized pixels, and that energy is a manifestation of pixel dislocations within the structure of lattice. What's really cool here is you'll finally see that this idea that the universe is a lattice. What does that mean? Just think of it as a scaffolding. You know those scaffoldings they build up around buildings, and it's just like this grid of lines. You can see it going. Well, the entire universe is that, and the reality of everything that's going on is sort of this reactions within this pixel. So you imagine one of the ways you could picture it is, imagine that you have your LED, or you have your televisions made up, millions and millions of pixels. Well, you can make those pixels into 3 dimensions, and then if you would make them so when they turn off, it's not just a black screen, but just empty space, but then you turn a pixel on in a certain place, you can, of course, have movement, you can have all kinds of stuff. So that's sort of the idea of pixel lattice, and a lattice model. Who subscribed to that, I'm not sure he does anymore, is Ron Hatch, our GPS guru, who says that GPS, in fact, shows the problems with relativity. It doesn't show that it's correct, like they always say in the news. And then another person is Bruce Nappy, who also is a lattice person, and he gave a really great talk on that lattice a couple of years ago at our conference. So that's what they're sort of talking about. He's saying they're Planck-sized pixels. You notice he talks about pixels very. So that's a good analogy. The structural independent elegantly unifies space-time and energy matter. Moreover, a finite number of pixels in the lattice eliminates the plague of infinities. For example, a pixel lattice allows for the first-time calculation of the size of electron. Okay, that's an interesting conclusion from this. Again, we'll make this bigger. In the pixel lattice, forces are expressions of crystal dynamics. The mass of matter, for example, is the Berger vector of pixel dislocations. Again, you don't need to understand, oh gosh, if I'm sure Lisa, one of my subscribers, is going nuts. No, just think of it. It's a lattice. And imagine a lattice that you have, again, sitting out in a field, and the lattice is maybe an inch apart, and it's got LEDs where it is, and you could make 3-dimensional objects and all these things happen. Well, obviously that's not what he's saying, but that gives you what a lattice theory is. Now you can say, that's crazy, how could you have a lattice? Well, let me tell you, right now we are in a model revolution which Kuhn calls, in states that we are going to have parallel models and theories for the same phenomenon, that is the universe. We have lattice theories, we have ether theories. Ethers are probably the most popular. Particle theories, and we have action at distance theories, which is more like mostly math. So that's what this is all. So this, when you're talking about gravity, explains the stress associated with dislocations. Acceleration manifests as bending dislocations. In one stroke, special relativity is viewed to be different projections of the pixel lattice along the directions of dislocation. And general relativity is reduced to elastic behavior of the pixel lattice. So what he's saying here is this lattice will be able to describe what gravity is, will describe general relativity, that light bends, gravity bends light. And so that's great if that's what his model can do. Plotting, because this is outside the mainstream, so they get 100% out of 100 for their efforts in creating a new model. In contrast to the superstring theory, pixel lattice theory results in only 8 irreducible dimensions. Okay, so again, even if you don't agree that there are more than 3, that's not important. What you need to know is in this he's reducing it. And one of the most important things in any theory is that you have to reduce, you have to simplify. That's one of the things Dr. Alexander Unsker says over and over again. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. We should be simplifying. That is, we shouldn't be getting more complex models. And that's why the standard model is going nuts. And so instead of 11 to 26 irreducible, whatever, 11 dimensions, is now only to 8, with 4 for open space and 4 for closed matter particles, color and charge and electric charge. So there you go. Again, I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to understand what this man is talking about. Pixel lattice theory is testable. One experiment, which is really great, one experiment would be used to use a positron-electron collider to determine the cross-section of electrons. Also, Einstein's general relativity can be reformatted into discrete pixel lattice terms. This would reveal the finite structure of a black hole without the problem of the infinite singularity, and that's one of the things. So he's saying infinite singularity is a problem because it's infinity, but he also says the universe shouldn't be infinite. Again, whether you agree with that or not, that's what he is saying. Quantum gravity should be able to avoid the problem of infinities and allow the calculation by ab initio of the properties of all elementary particles. This demonstration would prove beyond any doubt how pixel lattice theory can integrate quantum relativity and quantum mechanics. And here's what, if I were to sum this up, let's just say here. Let's keep going. I'll sum it up near the end. Secondly, the comprehensive dualistic reality posted by Pixel Lattice Theory. Consciousness is regarded as a central character in the universe observer. A universal observer. Man, I'm going to read that again. Secondly, in the comprehensive dualistic reality posted by Pixel Lattice Theory, consciousness is regarded as a central character, a universal observer, omniconsciousness, somewhat as a computer operating system allocates clock cycles to multiple processes. The omniconsciousness self-slices itself, resulting in a holistic synthesis of multiple organism. I can't cut that out, folks. Organism resident virtual consciousness. Now, no one's going to remember anything I'm saying now. Therefore, Einstein's no simultaneity is reinterpreted as two independent observers can make simultaneous but single. Made by simultaneously by a single consciousness. This is consistent with Bell's notion of reality separates from. Okay, so this is really interesting. I will organisms. But what he's saying here is interesting. Is what he's saying is this consciousness, which is part of quantum mechanics today, and even relativity. The problem is if you have two observers. He says no, there's not one observer. There's one omniconsciousness, and so therefore there's only one observer of what's going on. So you don't have this problem of relativity, which is you have two people looking at the same thing and then having their physics have to move. Either their mass has to increase or their length has to contract or time has to slow down. So his solution is in this lattice, he's also putting on top of this concept of omniconsciousness, which will, he says, solve the problem that we have in quantum mechanics and solve the problem that we have with relativity. And I can see that very, very clearly. So that's what he's saying. Oops, I'm moving me around. Look at that, I can do that. No, I want to click on that. There we go. Here, I'll just leave it where it is. It was fine where it was, Dave. This is one of the pages from his website put together by another person. Again, I don't have their names, but I apologize. I know probably you're watching this, and I do apologize. Send me an email so I know who you are. Full name. Books by Dr. James C. Young. Pixels of Space-Time, The Building Blocks of Everything, Evolution of the Universe, The Cosmic Game of Consciousness. Limited time offer for free plus postage. Perfect bound copies of this book. Submit a request to, and I did that. So I sent them a email, and I hope to get their book. If I have to pay the postage, no problem. That sounds good. Or access free PDF copies online with these links, so you can take a look at those things as well. But I always like to have a hard copy. So if you want to read more about that in more detail, I'm hoping that there will be more detail. I'm not going to go over that today. I'm going to wait till I get the book and then take a look at that. But you can take a look at it right away. I don't know if it's different. It may be. But regardless, what can I say in conclusion? Well, a couple of things. Number one, applause to a person who is working outside the mainstream. This person, you can see, is trying to solve some of the problems of present day mainstream, whereas some people will throw out things and say, nope, we got to start over with particle physics. We throw out quarks and all that stuff. He does one thing that's very, very important, what lattice theories do, what ether theories do, and what particle models do, and that is give a physicality to what's going on, space, time, whatever you want to call it. In lattice theories like his, it's an actual lattice made, and this he calls up pixels or the like, and that's just like a scaffolding. It just fills the universe. So and everything we see and all that stuff going on is from the scaffolding. In ether theory, it's ether particles that bash into each other, and waves are light, and there are different ways then they try to manifest gravity out of that. Particle model, everything are just particles and movements. So space-time in this case could be like in my father and I's model called gravitons, sort of gravity particles. And then of course you have more mathematical action at a distance models. But that's not so much as a physical model, although some of those people do claim like they're toroids and those kinds of things. They don't necessarily say what's they're made out of, but again, that's what he is giving physicality to space-time. Secondly, what he is doing is he is trying to solve this problem of quantum mechanics, which gets really, really crazy, whereas observers change what goes on. That if you try to observe where an electron goes through two slits by putting on a detector for that, then you don't know, you can't tell which one it's going through. Why is it going through? Well, when you put an observer on it, it seems to have a different behavior. What he's saying in this collective consciousness is that he says the universe has this collective consciousness that permeates the universe and solves this problem because there's only one decider, there's only one observer. So that would solve that problem and also solve the problem with special relativity, where you have the twins experiment and spare paradox, where you have a twin going away from the Earth and one staying on Earth, and one comes back, one's older, one's younger. Which one? Depends on your point of view, etc., etc. He seems to be trying to solve that. So hats off to Mr. Sung, I think is his name. Make sure I get that right. I'll go back to slide 2. Yes, Dr. James C. Sung, and the person who put this together and the one that pointed to it, pixellattice.org. Again, I'm not going to be, I could easily go through this and tell you the things that I don't agree with, but that's, so what? No one can say right now, it's very important for us to remember, no one can say whether or not this model is correct, or my father and my model is correct, or Jeff Yee's model is correct, or if Glenn Borker's model is correct, or Neil Adams' model is correct. None of us have that answer yet. So right now, as Dr. Alexander Unsker, let's all work on them. And if a model finally really appears that seems to model and give physicality to the universe in a way that everyone seems to accept, then that model will become mainstream, and that should then be attacked and looked at to do even better models from that than that. So anyways, I hope that gives you a really good idea of how I look at it, because I always get excited about seeing a new person's model, because it just opens your eyes to new possibilities of the way this universe could actually work. And if you don't do that, what you do is you become a biased person. You become no better or no worse than the mainstream, because you sit there and you criticize because I'm right and you're wrong. I don't care about trying to understand what you do. So if you can make anything, do anything, as me being your science therapist, the number one thing I say to you is always approach a new theory with excitement and saying, maybe this one's it. And if it's not, try to understand from the point of view, this person's worked many, many years, maybe decades on this, and they firmly believe it. So there must be something there that this person really likes, and why. And I think I've helped shown you why this pixel lattice theory by Dr. Sung and what he's trying to do. So remember what I say, stay critical, stay thinking. I'm Dave D. Hilster, your science therapist, trying to get you science woke, trying to making sure you understand it ain't cool to pounce and jump on and tell people who are at least trying to come up with a new model and going against the mainstream. It's not cool to get on their case and say, oh, this is a bunch of hooey balooey. Try to accept and understand it from their point of view. Ciao for now.